Let's go. The
Dalit
first
Hay.
Dalit.
Dalit.
Yeah.
Oh, I had the wrong place. I'm doing it over here. Hey, Dalit. One who marries the daughter of a Kohen must investigate her through four mothers, who are eight: her mother, her mother's mother, her mother's father, her mother's father, father's mother, and her mother, her father's mother, and her mother, and her father's mother and mother. If she is the daughter of a Levi or a Yishmael, one more is added to them. From the altar and upward is not investigated, not from platform or upward, nor from the Sanhedrin and upward. Anyone whose ancestors were known to have been from the public officials or from the charity collectors may marry off their daughters to a Kohen, and it is not necessary to investigate their descent. Rabbi Yossi says also one who is signed as a witness in the court of Yeshana, uh, Yeshana in the Sephoris, Reb Kana ben Tigno says anyone, also one who is in the listed in the king's army. The daughter of a male Khalil is qualified for marrying a Kohen forever. If a Kohen married a Kalal, his daughter is qualified to marry a Kohen. If a Kalal married the daughter of a Kohen, his daughter is qualified to marry a Kohen. Rabbi Yehuda says the daughter of a male proselyte is the daughter of a male Kalal.
Okay, so just this is an interesting point. I didn't really think this through before, but according to the halacha of this Mishnah over here, if you have a halal, so the halal is a psul that carries down through the male line. Okay, and as long as and carries on forever, according to the Mishnah. So let's say if you have someone whose name is Cohen and he's not a Cohen, chances are his daughter's not allowed to marry a Cohen.
That's interesting. Okay.
Interesting thing that, okay, because it
Yeah.
always goes down through the male line.
I
Um,
had a, I had a friend who was a Levi, who was a Kohen, though. Their name was Cohen.
yeah, yeah. I've got a friend also who's a Levi whose surname is Cohen. He lives like two doors down here.
Oh,
Um, okay, so now, but an interesting point just to remember this position over here is that Rabbi Yehuda says that the that the yichus of being from a convert also carries on through the male line. He says bas ger zachar kebas halal zachar. So basically, if you have somebody a non-Jewish person who's converted, and he can marry a Jewish woman, a born Jewish woman, but his child is going to be considered of the status of a Gioris and cannot marry a Kohen. That's Rabbi Yehuda's position. Now we carry on in Mishnah Zion with this exact discussion. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer Yisrael shenasa Gioris bitok sher lekohanis. Is not that's not the case. If a male convert marries a born Jewess, their daughter is allowed to marry a Kohen. Same thing goes for uh, Yisrael shenasa Gioris v'ger shenasa bas Yisrael bitok sher lekohanis. Same thing goes in both directions. If it's a female convert or a male convert who married a born Jew, their child is allowed to marry a Kohen, their daughter. Okay, but Aval ger nasa gioris, if you have two gerim who married each other, their child still has the status of a ger and may not marry a Kohen. Okay, that's Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov.
but once she goes to mikvah, then she
No,
can.
she's born. This is talking about a ger, a kosher ger who married a kosher gioris, and they have a daughter. Says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, their child has got the status of a gioris. She can marry a Israel, she can marry a Levi, but she cannot marry a Kohen.
Okay.
Okay? Rabbi Yossi, okay, and it says Echad ger ve'echad avadim meshuchrarim afilu ad asara doros, and it doesn't matter like a ger and a freed slave have got the same status. Doesn't matter up to 10 generations or more. In other words, 10 generations just guzma exaggeration to say this never stops and until ad shetehei imo mi Israel until at least one mother somewhere in the line is a Jew, is a born Jewess, then the child is considered. So even a mother, certainly a father. Okay. Rabbi Yossi says, Af ger shenasa gioris bitok sher lekuhana. Says no, that's not at all the case. It says Rabbi Yossi, if a ger married a gioris, their daughter is immediately considered a full Jew in every respect and can marry a Kohen. Okay. La halacha. Lahalacha, we paskin like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov lechatchila and like Rabbi Yossi b'diavad. which means that if they come and ask a shaila, if a Kohen comes and wants to marry this daughter of two converts, we tell him, nope, you shouldn't do this. If they didn't ask a shaila and nobody stopped them and they went and got married, we say, no, no, let them stay married. We'll rely on Rabbi Yossi for this, and their children will be Kohanim. So that's the way the halacha is in this particular case. Okay. Mishna Ches Ha'omer b'ni ze mamzer. A man comes and says, "My son is a mamzer." Enon eman, sorry, you are not believed as a witness on your own child. You're a relative, and you might just be doing this to spite him. We don't accept any edus about a direct relative, and it's not believed. Afilu shnehem omrim al ha'uba shebeme'eha. Both the husband and the wife come to Beis Din and say, "I'm sorry, my wife had an affair," and she admits, "Yeah, I had an affair, and this child inside my womb is going to be a mamzer." Einam ne'emanim. We don't believe them. We try very hard to avoid having mamzerim anyway. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ne'emanim. No, Rabbi Yehuda says that we actually do believe them, and the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. So yeah, in this case, we would actually believe them when they come together and say that this is a mamzer. Also, when circumstances prove that that this is the case, like for example, the husband left his wife without a get, and she moved in with another man, and then she gets pregnant. Obviously, we're talking about a mamzer over there. Okay. Mishna san reshus leshlucho lekadesh bito. Here we have what's called a race condition in computer programming. We have a guy gives a man has the rishus to accept Kiddushin on behalf of his minor daughter. Okay, and he also gives rishus to his shaliach to go and accept Kiddushin from a certain person. V'halachu v'kiddusha, and then another guy comes and says, "Well, I'd like to marry your daughter, actually." And he says, "You're better than the other guy that I sent my shaliach to do it. Let me quickly take your kiddushin so that you'll marry her first." And now the shaliach comes back and says, "Yeah, I did what you told me, boss. I've got the kiddushin from the other guy." So now they compare notes. Who got there first? Im shelo kadmo kiddushav kiddushin. Im shel shlucho kadmo kiddushav kiddushin. If you know which one came first, okay, Shalom al Israel. Whoever got there first is the valid kiddushin. Vim eino yadua. But if they both looked at their watches and said, I guess it was around 12 o'clock, and you don't know who got there first, Shnehem nosnim get. Now we have to have a situation we don't know who she's married to. They've got to give her a get, each of them. However, they could compromise and say, "Look, it wasn't that important to me. You can marry her." He gives the get. The other guy can marry her. Okay. The same case goes for if a woman herself who is an adult says to her shaliach, "Listen, Fred wants to marry me. You go and accept the kiddushin on my behalf, please." Yes, boss. He goes, and then John comes along and wants to marry her as well. He says, "You know what? You're nicer than Fred," and she accepts his kiddushin. Okay, once again, it's exactly the same halacha. Halacha v'kiddush atzma. Im shelak kadmu kiddushin. Im shel shlucha kadmu kiddushav kiddushin. Whoever comes first, that's the kiddushin. If it's not known, shneim yosnim la get. If you don't know which one is which, both of them have to give her a get. Im ratzu echad nosen get echad kones. Same halacha. Maybe if they compromise, one of them can give her a get, and the other one can marry her. Okay, I have to go now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No
All right.
worries. Have a good week.
All right, you too. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.